The forest was quiet the morning it happened, too quiet, almost unnaturally still, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Officer Marlene Hayes had walked these woods 100 times, but nothing had ever made her heart pound the way it did now. Her partner, a highly trained German shepherd named Rex, suddenly stopped mid-stride, his ears twitching, his body stiffening. Then, without warning, he lunged toward an enormous, ancient pine tree and began barking with a desperation Marlene had never heard before. It wasn't his usual alert bark, this one was frantic, trembling, almost pleading. And then she saw it, a massive, swollen lump growing out of the trunk, dark, strange, oozing a thick black resin like the tree was bleeding. It pulsed ever so slightly. Something was inside. Something alive. And Rex refused to move away from it. If you believe kindness and second chances can change the world, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support truly helps stories like these reach more hearts. Marlene approached the tree slowly, her breath catching when Rex planted his paws against the bark, whining as if begging her to understand. She had never seen him act like this. He wasn't afraid, he was urging her forward. The lump was nearly the size of a person curled into a ball, the bark stretched unnaturally tight, the dark sap dripping like tears down its surface. She touched it gently, and the tree shuddered. Not from the wind, but from movement deep within its hollow body. Instantly, the past week's missing person reports flashed through her mind. The hikers. The children who played near these woods. The old men who never came home. Her pulse raced. She radioed for backup with trembling fingers, but something inside her whispered that she couldn't wait. As she drew her knife and carefully pressed it into the bark, a wave of fear washed over her, not fear of danger, but fear of what she might find. The forest had seen horrors before, animals caught in traps, hunters lost in the dark. But this felt different. This felt wrong. The knife cut through surprisingly easily, like slicing through damp cloth. More resin poured out, thick and sticky, clinging to her gloves. Rex stood beside her, muscles tense, ready to leap at anything that emerged. The deeper she cut, the more the lump shifted, and soon she could hear it, soft, muffled, heartbreaking. A whimper. A cry. Human. Her breath hitched as she pushed harder, widening the opening until a faint, trembling hand slipped through. A small hand. A child's hand. Marlene dropped her knife, grabbed the child's wrist gently, and pulled with all her strength. The bark peeled back like layers of hardened skin, and out slid a tiny body, covered in dirt, cuts, and sap. A little girl, no older than 7, unconscious but breathing. Barely. Marlene wrapped her arms around her and stumbled back from the tree. Rex whimpered, nudging the girl's cheek softly with his nose, as if apologizing that she had suffered so long before he found her. As Marlene checked the girl's pulse and vitals, she noticed something else inside the hollow. Movement again. She reached in, feeling her hands tremble, and found another child, then a third, 2 small boys, both weak, dehydrated, terrified beyond comprehension. One clung to Marlene with what little strength he had left, his tiny fingers digging into her uniform. Rex circled them protectively, growling low at the tree's darkness, as if sensing something sinister still lurking within. Marlene's voice broke as she radioed urgently for medical support, her words shaky as she described the unimaginable discovery. She held the children close, whispering soft reassurances, though inside she felt like she was unraveling. When backup arrived, the forest transformed from silent isolation into a storm of flashing lights, rushing footsteps, and shouted commands. Paramedics took the children, laying them gently onto stretchers. Officers surrounded the tree, shining lights into the hollow that had imprisoned them. The strange resin coating its walls was later determined to be a rare natural secretion, extremely adhesive, almost like nature's version of glue. How the children ended up trapped inside, no one knew for certain. Some speculated they climbed in out of curiosity, not realizing the bark could close around them. Others whispered darker theories. But Marlene refused to entertain anything except gratitude, they were alive. Even so, as she watched the stretchers being lifted into the ambulance, her eyes stung with tears. The girl regained consciousness for a brief moment, her gaze unfocused, but when it landed on Rex, her small hand reached out weakly. He moved forward, resting his head against her arm. For the first time since he barked at that strange lump, Rex's body relaxed. He had fulfilled a duty deeper than training. He had saved lives with nothing but instinct and loyalty. The ambulance drove off, sirens echoing through the woods, leaving Marlene momentarily alone beside the old tree. She placed her hand on Rex's back, feeling the rise and fall of his steady breaths. She knew this moment would change her forever. It wasn't just a rescue. It was a reminder that miracles happen in the unlikeliest places, that hope sometimes hides inside the darkest hollows, waiting for someone brave enough to look for it. And sometimes, bravery comes in the shape of a dog. In the days that followed, the story spread across the town like a wave of emotion. People brought flowers and toys to the hospital. The children slowly regained strength. Their families, who had lived with unimaginable fear, held them with trembling hands and tear-soaked faces. Marlene visited often, always with Rex by her side, and each time the children lit up when they saw him, giggling and hugging him until he wagged his tail so hard his entire body shook. He had become more than a police dog. He was a symbol of hope, courage, and the miracles that still exist in a world full of darkness. As Marlene stood by the hospital window one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in soft gold, she felt something shift inside her. An overwhelming sense of gratitude. A reminder that life's most extraordinary moments often come disguised in fear and uncertainty. But when faced with compassion, determination, and instinct, the world can change. Hearts can heal. Lives can be saved. And sometimes, all it takes is a dog who refuses to walk away. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these meaningful stories alive on this channel.